Hello, and how are you? It is another day, it is another week. What did you do today? I hope you did something good. So, this week, our topic for this week is actually mind control. Um, Mind control is a big topic because most people don't know what goes on in the world, but part of the problem is people have been mind controlled. We've been mind controlled for a very long time. And mind control has a sliding scale. So some people are more controlled than others, like the way they think, the programming that has been running in your mind. Some of them are things that you've been taught by your parents, things you've learned from school, things you've been taught by TV, things you've been taught by social media, things you've been taught by your friends, family members, so many things. Our only defense against mind control is actually knowledge and wisdom. Now, knowledge, you can get knowledge anywhere. You can get knowledge. Knowledge is information. It's a body of information. You can get that from college. You can get it from your peers. You can get it from family. But wisdom actually comes from God. The only way to overcome mind control is to have the wisdom from God and knowledge from God. Because that God is the source of all accurate thoughts. Anything else you hear, it could be half truth, it could be a lie, and there's no way of knowing it. If you don't have God's wisdom, you will not know it. So let's talk about mind control. Most of the time it's things that we watch on TV. I think the TV is the biggest mind programmer that we have in our age today. The other thing is school. The other thing is maybe social media, YouTube, all that good stuff. And newspaper and magazines and stuff like that. So that's mainstream media. Now something I worry about is the programming that has been done, because people have believed so many lies, especially from the medical industry. We've been told lies about our body to a point that we don't even know our nature. We've been told stories about our history that are not true. We've been told things about black people that are not true, and we have believed it. So mind control is a big thing. I tell you, the first time I actually realized that our children kind of think differently, because at first you don't realize what's going on, because when people are ignorant, they actually don't know that they are. They think that they know things, but there are so many things that we don't know. So the first time it occurred to me something was wrong, my kids were little then. And we used to take turns, me and another family, to babysit each other's children. So this family used to take my kids to school in the morning, and I used to pick them up in the afternoon, and I used to stay with them, let them finish their homework, and when the parents came from work in the evening, they will pass by my house and pick up the kids. Now, sometimes the dad used to come and pick up the kids. Sometimes it was the mom. So this one day, one of the kids comes home with homework, and she was in that grade, mind you. And at this time, I'm actually a nurse. I had done my master's degree at that point. And she comes home with that grade homework. And I could not do it. Well, first of all, she couldn't do it. So she came to me for help. And I could not do it. I looked at the issue. It was one question. I tried to figure it out, and I could not. So it took me like an hour. And then I gave up. The dad came. This time it was the dad who came to pick up the kids. And I said, well, I have bad news for you. Your daughter was not able to finish her homework because I could not figure it out. I said, I tried to help her, but I couldn't figure it out. And he looked at me. He was kind of upset. He was like, you want to tell me that you can't do that grade work? So I made him have a seat. I said, you need to sit there. If you can figure it out, you tell me how to do it. So he looked at it and he couldn't figure it out. So they went home. The mom came, they looked at the homework, and they still could not figure it out. Mind you, this is still that grade. The next morning, I called the dad. I said, were you able to figure it out? Because, I was curious. This was unusual. Like, I've never seen a kid come home with that kind of a question. And we are here sitting down trying to figure it out, and we can't. The dad could not figure it out. So they went to the teacher the next morning and asked the teacher to do it and show them what they needed to do. And the teacher was able to explain. And I was like, tell me how this information that took us so long to figure out, how is it going to be helpful to this child when they grow up and they're working in a job? And the truth of the matter is, that was information they probably will never use. They will never use in their career. They will never use to solve any problems, not at work for sure. And it took us 3 hours to try and figure out, and we couldn't even do it. So that's the first time I noticed something was wrong. But now, after so many years, my kids are grown. That kid that we couldn't do the homework, she's also grown. And I know for sure that our kids do not think like us. So now we have this problem. We have issues in our community. We have racism in our community. And I keep hearing people saying that, we are happy that the young people are getting engaged. They're actually organizing movements, and they're going to do this and they're going to do this. And I'm like, I may not know everything, but I know a little bit about racism, and I know that they're not going to be able to solve it. If we don't solve it, our kids don't think the same way. Because I think every generation is a little bit more mind-programmed than the last generation. So there are some things I talk to my kids about, stuff that we see on TV, and I usually ask them, don't you think there's something wrong with what that person is talking about? And I know my kids can see it, and they usually say, no, there's nothing wrong. So I don't know what has happened to them. I do know that the school system has programmed our children in a much different way than we were actually programmed. To me, I think every generation is a little bit dumber than the last generation. Because when we were going to school, we thought our parents were not as smart as we were, but they were actually smart. They had wisdom from God. They had knowledge from God. And that kind of knowledge is actually accurate. Now, here we go to school, and we are being taught, for instance, we are taught about the theory of evolution, how humankind came to be in the world, and we actually believe it. Fortunately for me, when we were taught about the evolutionary theory, how mankind came to be in the world, that he started as an amoeba, then became a tadpole, then became a fish, and then a monkey, and all that, I knew I needed to study that information to be able to pass my test, but I didn't believe it. But as I have talked to people in my older age now, I know there are people who believe it. And some of the people who actually believe it are scientists. Some of them are doctors. And it's amazing the level of mind programming that has gone on in our lives, in our society today. The other thing I would say is the TV, how we watch TV. We get so programmed. Our kids have grown up watching Disney movies. And actually Disney movies they're terrible for the mind program. Our kids, most of them cannot tell where reality stops and magic starts. They get it all mixed up. So, one thing I would like to say is Isaiah chapter 33, verse 13 to 16, because God is very clear on what he wants us to do and how he wants us to live our lives. And he doesn't pull any punches. He tells us what he thinks, and he tells us what to do. So in that Isaiah 33, verse 13 to 16, he says to be careful, to protect our ears, to not hear things or see things that have concerning with blood being spilled, or watching evil on TV. Stuff like that. I wish I could quote it. I think it's, well, let me see. To cover our ears to not hear anything about blood, to shut our eyes to not see evil, because those things actually might program us and the way we view life. I'm only saying this because a friend of mine posted something on Facebook 2 days ago, and I had to call her out on it. So my friend is in Kenya. In Kenya, they have public transportation. So she was in this it's a little van. We call them the matatus. It's a small van that, it's a public transport van. And she had to alight from like a stage before the actual stage that she was supposed to get off, and she had to walk all the way home. And she came and posted on Facebook saying that she got off like a stage before the actual stage that she was supposed to get off because she was afraid. And then she continued to write. She said the last woman in that public transport van got off like the stage before, and she started getting scared because in this van there were 5 guys in the van, and she was the only girl, and she was being scared that they might rape her. And she comes and puts that information on Facebook. So I had to call her out. I said, because you're thinking about it and you're actually writing it down on Facebook for the whole world to know, you might open the spirit of fear into your mind, because our enemy actually lives in our mind. Our enemies are in our mind. And in our mind, that's where the enemy stays. And I remembered, when I called her out, I remembered the story of Job. Job chapter 3, verse 25, where he was saying that the thing that he greatly feared came upon me. That's what Job was saying. So there was something that he was actually afraid, and maybe the devil knew that he was afraid about it, and maybe that's why he got attacked. His children were killed, his property was destroyed, and he was attacked physically. He wasn't killed, but he got very sick. And he says that the thing I was afraid came to be. Now, my friend, the one who was writing stuff on Facebook, I know the fear was coming from somewhere. Maybe she had seen a program on TV, and this is where we gotta protect our eyes from evil. Maybe she had seen a program on TV where a lady got raped, maybe by 5 guys, I don't know. Why else would she be scared of people who are maybe not even thinking about her? But here she is, and she gets off a stage earlier than her actual stage, and she had to walk home because of fear. And then takes the nerve to write stuff like that on Facebook. So sometimes the things that we watch on TV, the things that we are reading about, and if you don't know the mouthpiece, how the devil speaks, to me, I think the devil uses mainstream media. That's the might program that we are programmed with, and we think about that, and the enemy gets inside our mind and starts controlling our behavior. So be careful what you watch on TV. Be careful what you read. Be careful what you hear, and choose your thoughts wisely, and also use the wisdom of God and the knowledge of God to live life well. Thank you, and God bless you.